What I'm about to say is going to sound a little bit ridiculous, probably hilarious as well if taken out of context. But if you watch by the end of the video, you will understand why I always advocate for the return of the actual female character in modern entertainment. So I'm talking about a feminine with traditional standards of beauty, that type of character who's wholesome. She's not the girl boss, she's not in charge of every single situation, but she's more relatable. And if you do this, I guarantee to you wokeness will go away. And I will explain exactly how. Now, in order to understand that, you have to look at DC Comics and its history. You have a incredibly successful company which has managed to push IPs that went around the world literally. And they weren't just successful in selling comic books, they were also successful in selling merchandise. Like people would buy action figures and t-shirts, and they created entire fandoms around these characters. But around 2016, they decided that they want to inflict financial ruination upon themselves for no reason. They simply go, oh, well, we can be more inclusive, right? So we're going to make drastic changes for no reason whatsoever, and hopefully more women are going to read our comics. So one of their academics, one of their most intelligent people there, probably a left-leaning activist, thought that, well, women do not like seeing beautiful female characters, okay? Like, women like to see the girl next door, the Californian look. That's what women like to see. So they took a popular character like Power Girl, which, again, is not really renowned for her personality, but is so famous that almost any person around the world can recognize who she is. And it's not just that her comic book sold, it's also the fact that toys with her sold, action figures with her sold, t-shirts with her. Like she was incredibly popular. But they decided to take it and race swap it. And they created this new version of Power Girl. Unfortunately, this new version of Power Girl wasn't liked by anyone. Like even the people that they claimed it would cater to, things like, oh, other women or minorities, they chose to watch manga and anime instead. No one was reading the new Power Girl. So it's not just the sales of the comics that flopped, it was the merchandise as well. And the story of Power Girl isn't just a one-off. They were doing this trope with changing the mantle and deciding that a superhero is just a name, not a character, and literally anyone can be that superhero. So they started race swapping and gender swapping. DC wasn't the worst of this. Marvel was the worst. Like you would go and see a Marvel movie, and then when you picked up a comic book, none of the superheroes in the new Marvel would be the ones that you saw in the movie, right? So it ends up happening that the numbers, they die down. So in the case of DC Comics, you actually had a reversal of that for a little while. It was called Rebirth. So they unfucked all of their superheroes. They went like, okay, well, we're not going to push politics into our comics anymore. At least we're not going to shove it down the reader's throat. You're not going to have the comic book literally advocating for Hillary Clinton like Marvel did. Instead, we're just going to focus on what worked up until now. We're just going to make wholesome superhero stories. The female characters are going to be female. The male characters, they're still going to be masculine. And guess what? It started selling again, right? Like DC Universe Rebirth was a huge success. Many people who have given up on comics have returned to DC the moment that Rebirth came a thing. However, the moment Rebirth came a thing, you notice that the people within the companies, the activists and the middle management and the HR lady, as well as the journalists, they started freaking out. They started freaking out because all of a sudden DC, by reverting this, was outselling Marvel. And it was showing to the public that actually keeping the old formula brings you more viewers than trying to fuck things over. So what ends up happening is that a lot of these diversity hires and a lot of these HR ladies and a lot of these people that were there for ideological reasons and not because they could draw good comics, they start protesting. They start doing walkouts. They threatened to quit. And what's funny is that due to this, the decision was reverted. And DC went back to the way it set out to be with diversity, inclusivity. And you guys know how well that ended up. But the point remains, like there are individuals in these companies who are not talented. And we know they are not talented because they can't sell. The manga industry shows that you can have the same product without even having colors, but if you have creativity and you're actually targeting to an audience rather than absolutely everyone, you can make money. And it does show that like women can create. A lot of manga artists are women. A lot of mangas are for women, but they understand their target demographic and they understand their genre. However, in the West, that's not the case. You have the Panderverse in the West. And if you try to change the Panderverse, the people that are responsible for creating it will threaten to quit. I know it sounds crazy, like it sounds absolutely ridiculous because most of these individuals who are placed in middle management, they have very well profitable jobs. They don't have to do much. All they gotta do is send an email every now and then, and they make money hands over fist by doing it. They don't work overtime. Right? Like if you're the diversity officer, literally all you have to do is to send an email, make some statistics, and that's your job. And you're getting paid, in some cases, all the way to $5,000 a month for doing this shit. Meanwhile, the artist that is struggling, he's got to work overtime, he's got to crunch, he's under stress because he is constantly monitored on what he says on social media and what he advocates for and all that shit. And the funny thing is that the people that were the talented one, that were responsible for DC Universe Rebirth, they got fired. Like they went on their social media, they tried to find anything that they said which was offensive. They got Me Too'd on unproven allegations. All of them got fired from the company. And instead you have like the slacktivists, the talentless people, and they're the ones that are now creating these new comics that no one reads. So if you were to manage to somehow convince the companies to go back to their roots, to recreate the things that actually worked, all of these individuals are going to quit because they are mentally deficient. Like they do not understand their position. They do not understand how good they're having it, that they're working for a multi-billion-dollar company, that they're trying their best to tank to the ground, so they get out of a job that way. And they view themselves not as an employee, but they view themselves as someone that shapes the company culture. In fact, it's more than that. They view themselves that by shaping the company culture, they're actually shaping society. They're reshaping the world. Like by having these masculine, despicably looking female characters in comic books, all of a sudden society will think that, no, actually we have a new standard of beauty now. And Marvel gets to decide what that standard is and what that behavior is, and this is actually to be glorified and to be respected. But in reality, society just reads manga instead. And if manga wouldn't exist, they would read something else. I mean, I bet that they would even go back and read comic books from the 90s just to get away from the ugliness. But my point remains, if you were to just change the aesthetics, they would freak out and they would quit. They would do walkouts. They would self-terminate their contracts. And this is the main reason why on this channel I keep insisting for people to start making arguments for beauty, for aesthetics. And this is also why they are gatekeeping so hard, because the activists are aware of this weakness. Like they are aware that if you were to revert back to what it is, like they would lose a lot of their members. And this is why they say, oh, you're just into porn, you're a coomer, oh, you just want pornography. Because they are using this the same way they used labels of racism and sexism and misogyny and transphobia to shut down criticism, right? They're not actually concerned about protecting kids or protecting women or whatever the fuck they're claiming. No, they're interested in maintaining the status quo. They're interested in making sure that they are the ones that get to decide what appears on the cover of a comic book, even if the market hates it. So that's my take on it. And also, that I think that is something to do with the hatred. Like, they literally hate, I would say right-wingers, but it wouldn't be correct. They hate the average folk. Like, even a center leftist, they still hate it. So if they were to create comic books that cater to what they consider the traditional style of beauty, if they were to create comic books like in the 90s, they won't be able to live with themselves knowing that the people they hate are getting a product that they like. And again, like, I know people from within the AAA industry, and this is legitimately how they think. It's like, we're not going to give these chatbots what they want. Oh, they actually say, like, the moment you see a comic book reverting back, even for a couple of weeks, they will say, oh, so the incels are winning. Oh, they're getting what they want. Blah, blah, blah. This is how they think. They think in the context of a culture war. Like, they literally think as if they're on a battlefield. And whenever a comic book reverts to the way it was, or, you have a show like Orville that casts beautiful people in it, they literally view it as losing a battle. Losing control of the battlefield. It's like, how do we push back against this? Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.